Well, also I mean, one of the problems is this idea of the neutrality of technology, and I think that's something that one of the most important influences for me on that, because you know, I've talked a lot about how I've been talking for years about the problem of image-based media, and long before this, what it's come to now, because this was pre-internet. There's a book that Zbigniew Brzezinski wrote called Between Two Ages, which he wrote in 1969. And he talks about the introduction of technology, because he was aware, they were very aware of the internet and all these things. The U.S. military has technologies that we don't even know about. And the internet, they were using the internet in the universities, I think in 1969. Or 70 was when it begins. The actual first transmission was from UCLA, I think, to Stanford, and they were going to put log, L-O-G, and it crashed after L-O, so it was like lo and behold. And one of the things, I saw Werner Herzog's amazing documentary on the internet. And the first half is all the positive aspects of it, how amazing it is, which it is, right? I mean, it's just like my dictionary app. I use it all the time, and
it's so cool. It's so easy.
It's just amazing to have it, and then to have like all these Arabic dictionaries literally in the palm of your hand. It's unreal. But the second half was on the dangers of the internet, and one of the things there's something really floored me was this lady, and I felt like, you know, Ghazali, when the thief tells him. He laughs at him when he says, "You can't steal all my knowledge. I just spent 2 years writing it all down." And the thief laughed at him and said, "What kind of knowledge is it that a thief can steal it from you?" And he said, "Antaqahu Allah, alladhi antaqa kulla shay." He knew that God made him say that. And he vowed never to, he would always memorize after that everything that he learned. But there's a woman in there, it's a family, and it's one of the most depressing parts of this documentary, but they look very depressed. And the woman, they lost a daughter in a horrific car accident, and she had her head severed, and it was hanging off her body, but these looky-loos who drove by took pictures of it, and then they posted it on the internet, and then over time, people kept sending them to her, to the family. And here's what she said, and it really floored me when she said it, because I felt like antaqah Allah. She said that I think that the internet, I think the spirit of the Antichrist has descended into the internet, and people that are susceptible to it, it just opens up a kind of vileness. And it's just so interesting how vile people are. I mean, just cruel. There's so much cruelty. You know, one of the things I've been asking somebody from Silicon Valley, maybe an engineer here, I want a computer program that automatically erases anything done on the internet that is grammatically incorrect. Because it would eliminate 99.9% of the trolls, because they always write in bad grammar. But be that as it may, there's something, I think it's in Thessalonians. I'm not sure. I think it's in 2 Thessalonians, where Paul talks about the mystery of iniquity, and the man of lawlessness, the person towards the end of time. You know, and this is obviously a reference to the Antichrist, but he says the mystery of iniquity is already active in the world. And we have a tradition in our own tradition where the Prophet ﷺ said that there's no fitna that has occurred since the beginning of time, except that it's preparing for the greatest fitna, this antichristic period where people completely divert from their nature, and the fitrah is really so perverted that people lose it. And so what's happening now with so many people turning away from faith and godlessness being celebrated and profanity, being celebrated. The idea of mocking religion, which would have been so unacceptable not that long ago in most cultures in the world. Now it's something, it is the bread and butter of comedians. It's the Hollywood, everything is just really just making religion seem like such a dark thing. And there's so many young people now, they say I'm spiritual but not religious, or they don't want to have anything to do with organized religions. I always tell them to join Islam because we're the most unorganized religion there is. But anyway, what do you say about that? Because the Prophet said one of the signs that precedes the Antichrist is people stop talking about the Antichrist.
That's right.
And it seems like we're in a very anti-Christic world where.
So the word that we use, of course, for the Antichrist is a Dajjal, and belief in him is obligatory. And it comes from Dajjal, and Dajjal means to lie, to confuse, to turn things upside down. Some of our scholars say that what the Dajjal does is he overturns the very principles of knowledge, so that you no longer know that what is true and what is false. And this is the age we live in, because we don't have, even like if we look at Descartes, I think, therefore I am. Okay, well, that changes the whole history of human thought, because in traditional medieval thought, existence comes first.
Right.
And in our tradition also, existence comes first.
Yeah.
And then epistemology.
Right.
So now for him, epistemology comes first, and then we don't really know if we exist or not.
So we should say, I am, therefore I should think.
Yeah.
Right.
Or some people say, I am, therefore God exists. But, overturning what we call immutables. Immutables are first principles. Immutables also for us are the basic principles of prophetic law, the dispensation, and the basic principles of theological truth, necessary being, possible existence. A change indicates temporality. And then the basic thawabit of suluk, of the moral path of self-perfection. So these don't change, but the Dajjal makes them change. And then you have the immutables made mutable, and this gives you the disasters, which are the ugly signs of the end of time. As the Prophet said, the slave girl will give birth to her mistress or her master. And you'll see barefoot, naked, poor shepherds vying for each other, sometimes camel shepherds vying with each other in the building of tall buildings. So you see that, but then when we look at it, we say, many people, probably most, they say that, the mother will give birth to a daughter who would treat her like a slave. And of course we see that today, and then you can see the buildings, you can go look at them yourself. One of the signs of the end of time is إِذَا بُعِجَتْ مَكَّةُ إِذَا رَأَيْتَ مَكَّةَ بُعِجَتْ كَوَاظِمْ. When you see Mecca gutted with tunnels, and you see tall buildings over the tops of the mountain, then know that the hour has cast its shadow over you. You can go and see the hour doing that right now, the big tower. But
they call that Burj Assad.
They call it the
Tower of the Hour.
That's frightening, isn't it? I went to Mecca the first time in 1973. There wasn't a single tunnel anywhere. It's like, where'd they come from? But you see, then what happens is, why does the girl treat her mother as a slave, or the boy treat his mother as a slave, or as a slave that's mistreated? Because the thawabit are gone. That they don't have sound belief, they don't know first principles, they don't have the morality. Okay, so all that's, and then when that's done, then she will do whatever she wants to do. And the same thing, you look at the shepherds vying with each other in tall buildings, so it means certain thawabit have been overthrown. And among these are a sound political order, which should put people in power who are capable of leading and who lead us for our benefit and not their own. And then you have also overthrowing a sound economic system in which there is distribution of wealth. So you get all this wealth concentrated in the hands of shepherds. Many of those shepherds, as Shaykh Hamza knows, are very good people, but they're not the cloth that you make leaders from in a time like this. They can't deal with that. So the Dajjal, this is what he does. He takes the thawabit, the immutables, and makes them mutable and changes them in 1,000 different ways.
Right.